What's up, Rockstars? Today I finally have another new Kickstarter news video for you guys. Well, this is really just a board gaming news. I got stuff that's retail. I got stuff that's on stuff outside of Kickstarter. I got a whole bunch of announcements. I got some giveaways. I got some exclusive looks, especially at stuff like Mythic Battles Ragnarok, where you're going to see a really cool mini. There's a ton of stuff to do. A giveaway, it's crazy. I haven't done this in a while, so this is a high time I did it because the news just kept on ticking and I just didn't report it because I wanted a big old video right now for you guys, so let's jump into it. Now, as always, a huge shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. It is through their financial support that I am able to stay independent so I can give you my honest opinion on things and not my wallet's opinion on things. And that's because none of these game companies are giving me a dime so that I can just speak freely about any of them for anything. And you guys know that I wasn't paid to tell you that. Instead, I just wanted to tell you that because that's how I feel. If you appreciate that level of honesty and independence, especially when it comes to covering the industry at large, there is a link down below, and I greatly appreciate any support that you can do. Even $1, trust me, it adds up, and it's a huge help to this. I spend it all the time. I'm going to be doing a video here real soon. You're going to see me spend hundreds of dollars on these games because I am buying them, and that is directly from my patron money. So thank you so much for that. Additionally, if you can't, that's fine too. I get it. I understand. A like and a comment, both those combined on the video help a ton, and it doesn't have to be like a obligatory comment. Like, let's chat. Let's have a conversation. There's a lot to talk about here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask that. If you have any information, feel free to share that with everyone, not just me, so that we all benefit from that. And with that, let's go ahead and just get started. Before I really do, and this is, I guess, really the first part I wanted to talk about, is I just wanted to say that I have been covering some controversial issues lately, as you saw, and then actually ended up having to take a little bit of a break, so I do apologize for that. But I just want to say, again, thank you for the support and for just being, I mean it when I say rock stars. You guys can talk about some really heavy stuff and still be respectful for the most part. And I greatly appreciate that. It's awesome to be able to actually talk with some real people on the internet and not just some angry mob that's angry at everybody and everything, even if we disagree or agree or anything like that. I just want to say I have mad respect for each and every single one of you. And I'm very appreciative. And again, those videos would not have been possible if I was under the dime of some company who might not want to be associated with somebody who's willing to speak their mind about certain things. So those kind of videos are only possible because I'm not reporting to any of these guys. So again, that's what happens when you have something community driven like this. So just again, a huge shout out there. I know that was longer, but special circumstances. Let's go ahead and start with the giveaway so I can give you guys something. Well, I guess Eternal Champions can. So this is for, you can just you fill out this little bit, and you can even say interested in a Kickstarter or not. I'm assuming if not, you won't get spammed. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I do know that they're giving away a starter set, and as you can see, the starter set is the whole you can play the game. That's huge. That's awesome. This was their idea. I have no part in this except I'm giving my, I said, yeah, I'll share it with you guys. Anytime I can get you guys something, I want to be able to give back in any way I can. So definitely doing that. I think that's awesome. This kind of game is meant for my channel. I think I even told them, I was like, this is like, I like great miniatures. I love competitive gameplay where I'm not fighting against some dumb AI that doesn't know how to do anything, or I can just gamify it and cheese it. I really enjoy that kind of gameplay, and this seems to have it. As you can see, the sculpt designs look great. They come in resin and PVC. The PVC looks really nice. If I jump over here, first of all, you can see, this is it's a ton of stuff. There's a lot of game here. Here's like some of the early PVC stuff here. Again, I could take better pictures than that. That's like really dark, but you get the idea. It looks great no matter which way you do it, whether it's hand-poured resin or PVC. They're going to look nice. The design, like anytime you get a necromancer literally dragging somebody out of the ground, I'm all about it. All about that. Or this guy like sucking the soul out of these skeleton dudes that don't look happy about it, or whatever's going on with this guy's stick. It looks good. Sculpted bases and like used to make unique, sculpt designs too. It looks, I'm all, it looks great. It looks great. I can't wait to try this out. I will be trying this out early and showing you guys about it. And it's coming out soon, right? It's late April. Okay. The announcement of this will be late April as well, so you'll know going into it whether or not, hey, I got a free starter set. Thanks KOA, thanks Eternal Champions. If you do win, let me know. I'd love to hear from you, just so I know you got it, and I can congratulate you too. I would love to personally congratulate whoever wins this. That's cool. I'm glad they decided to do that. And again, it's all on them, so all the things go to them. I wasn't pushing for nothing or anything like that. So don't, I'm just sharing the good news, letting you guys, get something good out of watching me. So there you go. Moving on. Let's talk about Steam Forged Games and Monster Hunter. I will be showing this early as well. I also played Primal, which means I can give you guys a cage match. I can tell you guys exactly why you would want Monster Hunter World in your game collection. Whether you didn't back Primal, whether you did back Primal. Maybe there's room for both. I don't know. It's up to you to decide, but I can give you all that information and a nice review on top of that. And that is in the mail right now, so you'll be seeing that soon. And as you can see, even from this little picture here, I'm not going to bother clicking on anything. Just, the gameplay is obviously very different, right? I mean, you can just see from all of this how different it is. So, it's kind of like a dungeon crawler, right? I got Oko Chronicles where I'm playing cards. I got Conan where I'm using gems. I got, Descent where you play. There is always different mechanisms and ways of doing things, even within the same genre. So I'm excited to see how different these are. I really am. And it looks quite different. And obviously the design is very different when it comes to the monsters. They showed a lot of dragons early on. They're kind of dragon heavy. However, as you can see, there's other cool stuff as well. The miniatures these are renders, so just FYI in there, and they're very detailed. They're little tiny guys. However, the one I get is actually going to be like 10% smaller. They're actually going to make them a little bit larger. So the detail will kind of be closer to parity, right? Because I think I'm getting 3D printed ones, but then obviously you're not going to get 3D printed ones. Thankfully, it means they won't break on you. But a little bit larger. So we'll go over that when I unbox it. You guys will see that. And if you're interested in all this kind of stuff I'm talking about, be sure to subscribe with that bell icon. Seriously, otherwise YouTube half the time fails, and I don't know how their AI works, but it ain't always good. So even subscribed, you might miss some videos, but you can do the best you can by subscribing with the bell icon. And you can see this kind of stuff. Moving on. Did you know Steam Forged Games is not really advertising this, which I think they should? I guess I can understand wanting to focus on one game, and right now they're advertising Monster Hunter, at least in my stream they are. But they're making a Sonic the Card game. That's cool. I love card games. I don't know if you knew that or not, but I actually am a huge fan. Since Magic the Gathering, I've always enjoyed card games, whether it's deck building, whether it's combo based, it doesn't matter. I typically enjoy them. And, as an old school kind of guy, I grew up with Sonic. I grew up watching the cartoon, all right? I mean, like, I love it. And I even watched the new movie, and I don't normally watch anything that's kind of more kid-geared. But Sonic, I made an exception for. It's actually a pretty good movie, too. So anyway, they're making a card game. I don't know when it's going to be coming out or anything like that. Maybe they can give me some info. I'll ask them about it if nothing else. Or if you know, again, let us all know below, and I'll know that way, which would be great. But that is coming, and so that's actually pretty cool. Wanted to be sure to tell you guys that, just in case you're interested too. Moving on along, we have Cyber Odyssey. Ignore this date. This date is wrong. I'll show you an updated date. I wanted to show this character to you because I haven't shown her before. And really, I just want to say, I hope her miniature is in that. I don't think I own a squatting miniature. I own quite a few sitting, even on the ground sitting. I can think of one right off the bat from Deep Madness that's doing that, and kind of a more ritualistic thing. But the whole squat look with the ears on the hood and all that kind of stuff, like, this would be a super unique mini. And again, painting it with the colors would just be I'm really excited. And then, of course, you got the whole always raining, neon, futuristic, cyberpunk kind of, world that this takes part in. I'm actually pretty excited about this. I will be showing this off early as well. I think I might already be in the mail as well. So you'll be seeing a kind of an early look at Cyber Odyssey. I'll be telling you guys all about that before it comes on April 27th. So again, the end of April is getting busy. The April Kickstarter video that I have will be big. It'll be a lot there. There's a lot to go over. The year started out crazy, and then it kind of mellowed out a little bit, and now it's just going to go crazy. Let's go full ham. This is where everything got pushed back to, essentially. So it's going to be big. Next up, summer might be big as well. This is for summer 2021. This is Black Rose Wars Rebirth. I don't know what that means. This is by Ludus Magnus Studio, or LMS. I'll tell you a little bit about this. So I don't know anything about the Rebirth, but I will tell you kind of the meta around it. Now, right now, my expectations are fairly neutral, and I'll explain why. So Ludus Matter Studio had a rough time, which happens, I think, with most growing pains anyway as a company. And Black Rose Wars was definitely an explosion of popularity for them. But it delivered, and it was kind of, I mean, like, the core idea there is good. It kind of reminded me of an early Mythic Games game, right? Where it's like, if it had just been tightened up a little bit, right, it'd be great. But then they had a second wave, and that fixed a lot of things from what I understand. So I'd be interested to see what Rebirth does, because I think there was I think it was a little overinflated of a game. I prefer more streamlined games, a little bit more nuanced. And so I'm hoping that's where I get from that, because the theme is good and the core is good. You just kind of need that little bit of smoothness in the gameplay for me to really dig it. They had an issue with some shipping, right, where they were charging people extra for shipping, but just to ensure that they get shipping early. Now, I don't know how much they raised from that, and even necessarily even how necessary it was for them as a company. However, they did end up shipping it whether you paid or not. They did end up doing that, and so that's good, right? That they shipped it either way, and it just kind of asked for some help. Yeah, I mean, some issues. Supposedly they're better now, and they won't be charging shipping, badly again, way early and all that kind of stuff. They weren't the only company to do that, but there weren't very many that did. I'll be talking about some VAT stuff later, not from Ludus Matter Studio, but just in general. Anyway, yeah, there's some bad situations just for consumers and for companies. It's kind of a lose-lose. Either the company loses a bunch of money or the backers lose a bunch of money, and nobody's happy either way. And I don't know. It just know that going in. However, they've also done some great stuff too. DEI is a fantastic game. I love DEI. I'm shipping it out to the guy who won it, and I'm kind of sad to see it go because it's a really fun game. However, I did back it, so I'll be getting it back in, I guess eventually anyway. And I've played it a lot, so I've had my fun with it. But, so they did that. They did Bardsong, which actually looked pretty darn good. It played really smooth too, which I really liked. There was a lot of streamlining in that one. So, needless to say, I have both good expectations and some reservations. I'm kind of neutral. I'll let you guys know. I guess we'll play it by ear. I will. If you have a different opinion or a different take on that, I'd love to hear from you just to discuss things. Cause again, it's kind of hard when you see them like really early on struggle, and then you see the stuff that's like, oh, but you could be so good. And like, that's what Mythic Games was to me. Like, Mythic Games really struggled early on, but they are, like, on fire right now for me. Like, they are just delivering quality stuff that's amazing in gameplay and in production and delivery and all that. Like, so, I'm interested. I guess I'll just leave it there. Even with hangups in the past, because I'm willing for a company to become great, and I'm not willing to miss out on a fantastic thing just because somebody did, like, forever ago. Like, as a consumer, I want a good product. If you can deliver that, I'm all about it. Moving on, we got Descent Minis. This is from Sarastro. He is kind of sponsored by Fantasy Flight Games, and so, he even has submit his painting videos to them for approval and stuff like that. Probably so they make sure he's not saying some crazy racist thing or something in there, right? Because again, when you have a sponsor, they covering your game, they want to make sure you're kind of doing okay, which is why it's so great to be community driven. It really is. So I can speak my mind. These I haven't confirmed, but they look final production plastic. I'll tell you why. So you see like a pour spout here. You see one here as well. I call it a pour spout, but that's a poor wording for there. There's another one here. When they put it on the steel tray, there's these channels that have the plastic go from one mold to another. So if you think of these impressions of characters or bases or whatever, right? And there's a little bit of plastic that goes from one to the other. Otherwise it would stop there, right? It has to go through all of them, right? So it just kind of flows and fills it up. That channel, then they have to break off, right? Or snip off. And that's when you get that little pour spout. Sometimes they'll twist it off or something like that. Sometimes it'll be an indentation. You'll see a little pick mark on your mini. That's what that is. That's all it is where they connected the pieces. Happen chance or on purpose, or just depends on how much they planned it. And also, especially on this guy's bow, which he does have the string, which is a big deal for me. I think that's great. You can see some kind of flash and a little bit of meltiness attached to his arm here, and it's attached to his arm. If you were hand pouring this in resin, you probably wouldn't even bother with that. And again, same over here near his hand, and a slight bend of the arrow as well, which tells me it might be, that normal PVC, maybe some ABS mixed, just looking off the reflection point of that. ABS is shinier. PVC is normally pretty dull. And so if you get an ABS mix in there, you'll see a little bit of shininess to your mini normally. I think these look great. Sculpted bases, which by the way, now that Fantasy Flight Games is doing sculpted bases, yes, they had to charge $175 freaking dollars for this thing, but you're getting sculpted bases. I'm considering this standard now. If you don't have sculpted bases, you need an excuse not to. I'll explain why that's important in like just a tiny bit when I show you that exclusive, picture. But anyway, sculpted bases, you got to start doing that. I'm going to start counting against it. You got to keep up. Stuff's always progressing. We're doing better and better. Other companies that are asking for just as much money are doing sculpted bases, not just $175 ones. And not only the sculpted base, but like, build that into your sculpt, right? I mean, you see how she's standing on a rock. You see how he is standing on both rocks here, or how this person here is like, leaping over one. You could really use it to your advantage, even if it's something like this, where you see that she's kind of pushed against it to brace herself with her shield in front. That can add so much to it. There's an Alien Trespass Odyssey miniature where the person is like, put their like weapons in the ground and were scooted back, so there's those drag marks. That kind of stuff, I freaking get goosebumps. I geek out over. You guys have seen me. I'll talk for 10 minutes straight about how awesome of a mini that is, that he was pushed back, and you see that just through a little bit of base sculpting, you can make amazing things with it. When you have that whole canvas to you, it doesn't have to stand flat. It's one of my issues with Games Workshop minis. I've been doing a lot of Warhammer stuff lately. Is they always have to support standing flat. To get around that, and this is because, again, that's how they're not putting the basing in there typically, so that you can custom base, but that also means they have to support that flat basing because you don't custom base, which does limit your stances, right? There's only so many times you can stand flat on the ground. What they've been doing lately is having all their enemies or all their people in the air, right? Like attached to like some big ponytail or some robes that are flowing down, or, either lifting them off the base, because then they can dynamically pose them in the air. And it can get a little silly. I like having this right here on the base. It's great. These look fantastic. You're paying premium dollar for them, but they look fantastic. And if you don't like it, you could freeze them off pretty okay. Even this guy, he's actually attached to the rock, but the rock is glued on there. Put them in the freezer, they'll snap right off the next day. Easy peasy if you care that much, but you shouldn't. You should just use the awesome bases. Moving on. So this is kind of interesting. This is Commandos Master of the Universe. Okay, you guys should know by now if you've been watching my videos. Commandos making one for most of the world. Archon Studios is making one for Europe. I'm getting the one from Archon. I'll have to back the one from Command. They probably won't send me a copy. If they do, though, that'd be great. I would love to actually do the same thing I'm doing with Primal and Monster Hunter World, where I can do a comparison so you guys are more informed, but I'll have to go with that. I did notice right here, a new mini, obviously, but also the Clash for Eternia. I hadn't noticed that before. I thought it was just Masters of the Universe, the board game. So it looks like they've added Clash for Eternia. The Archon one is Fields of Eternia, which means it might get a little even more confusing because they're named similar now too. I think the Archon one doesn't have the board games. Masters of the Universe, Fields of Eternia. This Master of the Universe, the board game, Clash for Eternia, which is too many colons in my opinion, but whatever. I'll try and keep you on the straight and narrow on which game is which. One of the big differences I've noticed is Archon is very big on advertising with gameplay. So they'll show cards and hero board stats, and actually they've shown the whole game layout, like the board and everything, whereas Archon will kind of write about it but then just show you minis, right? I actually prefer the one that is really into the gameplay and advertising through that, and minis. I think you can do both. I'm fine seeing this cool guy here, but then I also want to see his stat cards, show me his character board too. Or maybe they don't have that. Maybe they're just not as far as Archon is. I don't know. But I did notice that. And again, I'll try and call out the differences there. Moving on, we have V Commandos. This is the Deluxe Kickstarter edition. This is from, let me make sure I say this right, Triton Nor. They did the Assassin's Creed game, if you got that at all. I did not get that, but I know some people did. This is, they have 8 boxes here, I think 6. I'm adding 2. Seriously though, this is not going to be a cheap game for an all-in. This is going to be expensive. I can tell you that right now. This is kind of interesting. So obviously those are not final production plastic, and obviously I'm not painting that good. It looks cool. I'm a little blah on the World War II theme at this point. I blame a lot of video games for that. Too many Call of Duties perhaps in my day, but it still looks pretty good. I'm interested in it. I'll have to actually check if my typical gaming group is Because that's really the key, right? You don't want to just back a game that is interesting to you. You want to back a game that's interesting to you, and your gaming group says, yeah, we'd love to get that to the table. Because otherwise, it's a game that you think looks cool that sits on your shelf. And you want that on the table, not on the shelf. So I think that's important. It's great that they're showing all the gameplay and stuff like that. Obviously, this is already from an established system that was well-reviewed, so that's good as too. It seems like a pretty safe bet, assuming that they've been able to produce Assassin's Creed nicely, because this is a lot of production to do. This is a lot. That is March 29th, by the way. So, like, days away. Days away. So start saving yesterday. I'll be interested. I'll let you guys know how much that is. It's going to be a lot. I can tell you that much. Moving right along. Monuments. Full Civ experience without the downtime. I don't know what without the downtime means there, except that I know at least in the video games, Civ games, next turn, and then you go make a sandwich and maybe take a nap, walk the dog, do some homework, go through an existential life crisis moment, and then come back and maybe it's your turn again, as the AI just does like everything, especially when you explore more of the map and are able to see everything. Essentially what it is you play these cards, and then they have a let me make sure, yeah, so they have this map, but the map actually has, you can kind of see it here, these little spaces that you can have that give you like resources and stuff like that. And you can either play a card, or you can go and get a card that's been previously played, and you're using 5 different build-ups up to your world wonder, right? Whether it's a statue or the pyramids or whatever. They have cardboard, they have the actual miniatures as well. I don't know exactly how well that'll work. I know Awakened Realms did one like that where you had to build up the thing, and I don't know how well that worked. I guess you guys can let me know. I always worry about how well it'll snap in and stuff like that, of course. But it looks like a fairly straightforward game. I would consider this a filler game myself, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's more advanced, and I'm just not seeing it as super nuanced. But this is really the goal. You're just building this up. If you build it up, you don't necessarily win. It's now end game, and whoever had the most victory points wins. So you're trying to get close, but then make sure you get the most victory points and then end it, is what my assumption is. You probably get some bonus points for ending it, though, I would imagine. So anyway, that's that. It's on here. It's, what was it, like $47 for the non-mini version, or $60 for it's retailer. We don't get that. Deluxe edition's $83. Yeah, I don't know about no 83, but honestly, this is probably one where I wouldn't get the minis from. I don't think they'll look super great built up anyway. But you do you. You guys do you. It's on here though, and it has funded now. Which, by the way, Kickstarter was down for a while, and as a creator, I'd be so upset at Kickstarter. What if this was part of your early backing? What if you had just launched and then suddenly they're down? Like, that would really suck. I saw it announced like day of. So, I mean, hopefully they communicate that out well. But that was really dumb that it was, they took the whole site down. They should be doing updates behind the scenes, in my opinion. Moving on, we have Dungeons and Lasers 3rd edition. This is looking really, really cool. I've heard nothing but good things about this. I have Rampart from Awakened Realm, or Archon Studio, and it is amazing. Like, the hips miniatures they did are fantastic. They work really well together. They fit really well together. I'm excited to try this out too. I love their pre-launch stretch goals, by the way. I think that's awesome. If you want to help unlock that, well, it looks like we're real close to the Roof Rooster. If you want a Roof Rooster, better click that notify me and launch. Seriously though, all the links are down below. Go ahead and check those out at your convenience. They're all there. Yeah, and then a Sewer Monster actually sounds super cool. Though, actually, I like the Street Lamp, I think, more than both of those. I'm going to talk a little bit about this to just kind of show it to you. First of all, no glue needed. They just kind of clip on, which is nice. I am big on pimping out the board games I love. If there's a board game that I play a lot of, I want to pimp it out and make it look nice and get all the doodads. It's one of the main uses of my 3D printer, actually. When I see this, I can see instantly that I would be using this for Conan. At least, right, with the stairs and the tavern stuff and the chairs and all that. But of course, you can keep doing more and more stuff and add more walls and all that. Additionally, it's actually 28mm for like RPGs, but for board games, especially when they're 35, 40, it's actually kind of nice. It's not a big enough difference where you're gonna be like, that's not to scale, to my mini. Especially when most of the time the board game art that you're playing on isn't either. But one of the issues is line of sight and being able to see what it is you're looking at, right? And like I mentioned this in Great Wall, right, where you're building that wall. If you're on the other side, you're like, I can't see what we're fighting, right? It can get kind of in the way. So having shorter walls helps. Being able just to pop them in and out like that helps as well. So you can open up the side you need to, perhaps. A lot of benefits there. And of course, then they have everything, right? I mean, they got freaking integrated streets and little customization bits that, you know, they're already advertising, and then little extra people and stuff like that, which I think are great. A lot of times you get a little token for the NPC. Now you can actually put a person on there. There's a lot of benefit here. I'm really interested in seeing this. I think I might be able to show this off early to you guys. If so, I'll let you guys know, and obviously you'll be able to see that. Highly interested in that one though. It's not the 3rd edition. They've all been doing great. I need to jump in the bandwagon. That's Q2 2021. That's soon. Next up, an angry guy. Alright, you guys know me. I hate when my people smile. I don't want any smiling in any of my games. If I'm murdering someone, I don't want to be smiling unless that's whole part of the character. It's gotta be a creepy smile then. This guy, this might be his smile. Maybe this is his like family portrait video. Picture. I don't know. All I know is that he's ready to murder someone. He even has a wolf. That's an instant plus, even if it's a dead wolf. Dead wolves being worn by angry men are still okay in my book. This guy looks awesome. That's what I'm all about. But really, joking aside, I wanted to show you guys a monster from Mythic Battles Ragnarok. I will be getting that. It's in the mail now. It'll be arriving. It will probably be my next video where I unbox that for you. So stay tuned for that. Seriously, subscribe if you're not, with the bell icon so you see that pop up. I'll try to get it out on Friday for you guys. It's going to be big. I know that much. Because look at this freaking guy. Oh my gosh. He looks fantastic. The details, again, this is a render, but they're deep enough to where they're going to show up great on the final mini, which is what I like, especially the horns, right? Horns can get really smooth, right? So when you see the deep ridges like that, that's a little exaggerated because you're going to get some shrinkage, right? As the plastic pours into the mold, and then as it hardens, it kind of shrinks away. So that it makes it to where you can get rid of get out of the mold really easily, but there is a little bit of shrinkage there. So you overcompensate by rendering it with a little bit of a deeper cut, and it should show up great. Additionally, you'll notice there is a little bit of a texture on the base, but that's really it. Though they did add this giant tree that it's on too, which I fully support as well. I think putting the little like tree stump like that with kind of a generic texture, probably your best bet there. Mythic Battles Pantheon was flat because it was way back when. People didn't really do sculpted bases then. They do now. And so it's kind of a nice in-between. If you're adding minis to an already established set that doesn't have it, like a Games Workshop thing, right, where it's like they're flat, I can understand doing flat. But if you don't have that excuse, you should be doing sculpted. At this point, yeah, if nothing else, throw a texture on there. Moving on, we have Birchwood Vale. This is from My Mini Factory again. I might show this closer to you guys. And again, I still need to do that actual video on My Mini Factory because they're doing more and more campaigns for 3D printing, which is kind of like a side passion of mine. But like their campaigns are really good on this site for miniature painting. There's a lot of, or not miniature, well, miniature painting, miniature printing as well. There's a lot of benefits there. But as you can see, there's just a ton of stuff here. This is doing really well, by the way. There's some free stuff here, by the way. If you got a 3D printer, you got a resin printer, go ahead and grab these right now. You can grab this chick and this guy, and like they look fantastic. Like you could enter like competitions with that junk. They have pretty much everything D&D I think you could ever want. Look at these freaking elves. They look great. All the I love bases, especially like fancy bases. Look at that. Fancy freaking Elrond Street, Rivendell streetlight things going on. You got waypoints and lookouts and tree stumps. I would love this for basing. There's a ton of stuff I could do for even my regular miniatures with this. But obviously adding different things too. Look at these freaking troll brothers. Wolves. Gonna have wolves. I mean, there's a lot. Look how good these look. There's a lot of stuff here. As you can see, bridges and blacksmith's area and a whole bunch of rats and spiders and pretty much everything in between. As you can see, there's a ton of stuff that they're showing off. A ton of people too, in all different kind of, poses and get-ups. And I mean, I was actually really impressed with this, how much of this. The last one I showed you guys, which was the Plants and Rocks, had like 500 plus STLs. I don't think this has 500 plus, but it's got a lot. Look, oh man. See, that would be awesome. That reminds me of Dungeon Siege 2, if you ever played that game. One of my favorite ARPGs. When you're kidnapped, you got the little slave collar on, you're in the trees like that with the dryads. Yeah, that's super cool. No, I mean, all of this looks just fantastic. There's pretty much not a Force Dragon. There you go. You want a dragon? That's a sweet looking dragon, actually. I love the design of him. Especially how it's like made out of wood. That's interesting. I like that a lot. And then of course they have like all of this stuff too. A lot of this looks like kind of towards the end of Lord of the Rings, right? When they're in the outpost there. Yeah, just again, look at this. Ton of stuff. So anyway, link down below to this as well. This is going on for, shoot, how much longer is this going on for? Let's see. 8 days left, so we still got some time. But yeah, no, it looks good. Let's look at pledges here. Looks like you can get it as low as all of this huge terrain for $40. Otherwise, an all-in is $55, and you get everything. That's actually not too bad at all. Oh, not for like the scale of what you're getting and the amount of uniqueness involved. I don't think that's bad at all. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about Street Fighter. Let's talk about VAT. Really, I want to talk about VAT, not just Street Fighter here, not just Jessica. But I will read what they said. I'll read what they said and then I'll talk about it. VAT clarity. We sincerely apologize for not making it clear enough from the outset of the campaign or in our updates that the costs listed on the campaign page and in the estimates shared with backers sheet did not include VAT charges. We understand that EU and UK friendly badges can mean something different to backers coming from other projects. Every company handles VAT differently. For Jasco Games, this means that the product will be shipped from the manufacturer to a center within the designated region to avoid additional custom charges due to crossing multiple region borders. There is no additional cost, for example, to ship to you from the USA location as it never enters this region. It also means that most backers are only charged one all-included regional shipping charge instead of paying delivery fees and then being expected to pay for VAT upon receiving the game at their door. We have read your request to edit the Kickstarter page, but that's not possible after it ends. Yes, it's very true. Okay, so I'm no expert. I'm an American. I know nothing about any of this kind of stuff. I'm ignorant. You guys know that. Because that's an American. No, kidding aside, I do have a lot of patrons from, the Europe that's been dealing with this VAT stuff as well. From what I can see, this was not typically an issue with companies before, but with recent law changes now being forced to, and then they have the option of either just tanking hard all of their profits by paying it, or sadly passing the buck to you guys, which does suck. But I think that's why, unlike the Ludus Madness studio thing where they want like $15, this is more than $15, right? This is a bit, this is like 20%. It's a big thing that probably just eats away all their profit. So I can understand not going down as a company, but it just sucks. What sucks is, I guess, the wording around it, and that's because, I mean, again, they're a company. I'm not. That was why I tell you guys this stuff straight up, and companies will kind of dance around a little bit. But essentially, they were avoiding this for the most part, and now they can't avoid it, and now you have to pay. At the end of the day, it is a tax for the European countries that are charging. Again, as an American, I'm not charged 20% just to buy something outside of America. So that's. I mean, the root cause is the country charging the tax, right? And then it's just that the company isn't able to help you out with that anymore like they used to. Really, honestly, I mean, how I look at it is, you guys were lucky they were helping you out to begin with, right? I mean, you would have had to pay this whole time, except they were doing whatever finagling thing businesses do to save money, to save you guys some money. But, I mean, I said this before, you gotta pay your taxes. Taxes, I mean, if you guys are anything like my patrons, you guys love to boast about your health care and your social services and all this other stuff, and all of that comes from tax money. I mean, you gotta pay your taxes to benefit from it. I just paid my taxes, like I saw like the item I list, I'm like, I'm paying that much to the library? And even though I don't even use the library anymore, I did when my kids were younger, but lately they'll get a library book from their school, but not really from the state library. But they do so much stuff, especially for younger kids, getting them interested in reading though. I mean, I'm fine with it. And again, my taxes help make sure my roads are nice and all that. You got to pay your taxes. What you can't do is, like, I here in America, we pay sales tax, right? And even on like food and most places, and there are some places that don't. I actually prefer not being charge sales tax on food, but anyway. So I buy a shirt, right? I have to pay sales tax, but I don't know the shirt company that had to pay sales tax. That's my state charging me sales tax, right? I'm not going to yell at my, mortgage company because I have to pay property tax, right? That's just, it's not their fault I have to pay taxes. It's my country's fault I have to pay taxes. Now, they may have been helping me mitigate that before, and now they can't. But honestly, I should be saying, well, thanks for helping me mitigate it all that time instead of getting this crap deal. Now, I think there must be some better way to get this to you. There's no way you guys can't order stuff from China, right? I mean, maybe it is. Maybe that's just what you guys do. I don't know. Let me know if you can get stuff from other companies outside of Kickstarter and even maybe even just board games. Can you guys buy stuff that's made in China? I'm assuming you can without some huge 20% thing. There's no way Europe is making everything for it. I mean, because that's like prohibitive to anybody that's not, what do poor people do? I've been poor. I've made $9,000 a year before. I know what poor is like, and I ain't paying no 20% extra on nothing. So, does not have anything made in China? Can they not have a cell phone? I don't know. Anyway, let me know. I'd love to hear more about it because I am ignorant, and so I do apologize if something I said doesn't align well. But conceptually, I can understand paying taxes. And conceptually, it's not a company's fault I'm paying taxes. That's all I'm saying with that. And that's not just Jasco. That's everybody involved. That's probably one of the last things I'm going to say about VAT. It's here to stay. Everybody's doing it. It's just it's just how things are right now. Till the law changes again. Because it changed this time. Change again. Let's talk about Sin's Spawn of Minions. Now, sadly, I'm getting this to you after it is done. However, they only got 491 backers, so I don't feel too bad about that. I would caution against this. And here's why. I think it looks pretty, right? There's a lot of art, and there's a lot of renders, and a lot of fancy, cases and stuff like that. But one thing to note is that this company, Cartodu Games, is actually from Ludus Studio. It's actually one company split into many. So while it says 2 created here, this is actually just one company that has multiple names so they can have multiple campaigns on Kickstarter and do multiple things. If we go to Ludus Mana Studio, you'll see the symbol here, and then and they're right up front about it, right? Here's Katodu Games. They make this kind of games. They have Antithesis games. They have Antidote games, and they have Jack in the Box games. They have all of these making games right now, all at the same time. From what I can tell, they do not have different employees. It's just a set of people that are attached to these, and they launch under these. These are pretty much just a name to put on the publishing box so Kickstarter's happy, right? But really, it's Ludus Studio making multiple games at the same time. So I want to make that as clear as day, because I know how much I push this make games, not campaigns. I mentioned Cthulhu Island way back when as a cool idea. It's still a cool idea. However, they did do a lot of copying. For instance, this is just the crappier version of the Death May Die guy. And by that, I mean, like, if you look at the Haster, I believe it's called, art, the only person you're going to see like that looks kind of like that is the one from Death May Die. So they look kind of like it looks like they're taking some shortcuts and maybe some development, when it comes to like sculpt design and stuff, which, I mean, it's not that great anyway. I mean, I don't even know what the heck's going on there, but it looks terrible in my opinion. Anyway. Moving on from all this, you guys remember Desolated, which had like no gameplay at all. It was just art. I still don't know how to play this. I bet most backers don't know how to play this because I'm not sure there's really much of a game here yet. Unlikely here. I mean, they have a ton of games here, a ton that they're making. If you're all the way down, they are actually, it says like as transparent as possible, but if that's the case, I would love to know what these mean because right now these are just arbitrary. Right? But essentially, they have made Sin Season 1 and Sinful Playing Cards. I don't even know what that is. It sounds stupid, though. They have not made Gear Season. They've not delivered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 6, 7 games announced that they have not delivered yet. 7. Keep that in mind. So when you see any of these, I guess I could scroll up here, any of these, if you see Antithesis game Kickstarter, it's Ludus. If you see a Cartudo game starts, it's Ludus. If you see an Antidote games, it's Ludus. Jack in the Box games is Ludus. Not only that, but I was looking, and their main guy here, this Jacob Lindborg guy, he just starts companies. He started like 3 or 4. He's already started another company after Ludus, actually. And he just kind of spawns all these companies. And I mean, I hopefully he's still involved, but he might be starting his 7th company now or whatever. I don't remember. You can, I'm not going to like point out his LinkedIn, but it's there, right? You can see. And not only that, but all of his other sites use this kind of, like, this exact same website style. It's the exact same thing. And all their icons are the exact same black and white, too. Like, it's weird. Anyway. And they're not even board game related at all. It's just like random like stuff. I guess he's kind of an entrepreneur kind of guy. Yeah, they have 7 games undelivered, 6 when they announce this. So 6 games undelivered when they announce this. Keep that in mind. If you want to support a company that makes and delivers games and not just a whole bunch of campaigns and shotguns them across 4 different separate companies, then you might want to stay away from anything by Ludus Studio. My advice to you. You can, of course, ignore that if you want, but none of their games seem worth the risk anyway. My opinion. Moving on. Interactive miniatures. This actually has 23 days to go. It has a ton to go. This looks interesting. Now, it's not necessarily my cup of tea, but I can dig it anyway. It's just because it's unique. Really, this stand, right, this base is really unique here because it has these slots where you can put stuff like different barriers, like all the magic shields and a frost shield and an anti-magic shield and all this other kind of stuff. And they have these tokens as well with numbers so that you can, track different stats or different, like they have blind, they have charmed, they're going to do poison, different stats effects, stuff like that. That's actually really cool. I think that's really the big draw here, though they do have a bunch of minis and they have them all sun-dropped as well. One of the things I do appreciate is actual photos of the minis, like you can see right here. Really appreciate that. It's so tempting to just show a render, and I get it because the renders look really, really good. Honestly, these look pretty good too, and I think that's saying a lot, right? I mean, anybody who's willing to put a real picture of their mini up there is putting all the cards on the table, right? This is what you're gonna get. So that's really cool to see that. And as you can see, I mean, they have a ton. They have kobolds and zombies and orcs and skeletons and merfolk and fishmen and lizards and mephits and dryads and wolves and vampires and ghosts and a whole bunch of D&D kind of stuff, right? And this Dragon Lich thing, which he does look pretty cool. He's got like a face, coming out of like his fire breath stuff, which is neat. Fire shields, ice shields, thorn shields, air shields, magic shields. Oh, those look freaking sweet. Anti-magic shields, arcane shields, illusionary images, right? All this kind of stuff. Honestly, I think is pretty cool. I think it's neat. If you're into, it's expensive, right? So the base pledge early bird, for 72 hours, by the way. So go ahead and click the link below if you're interested. $95, right? So you're definitely paying for what you get here. But it does look cool. I like it. And it definitely fits in the D&D miniature style, I feel too. So if that's your thing, there's obviously a lot you can do here. And I mean, yeah, there it is right there. You can see kind of the difference there. No, looks cool, I think. I think it's a neat idea. Moving on, we have Mixtape Massacre Director's Cut. This is like the 3rd time Brightlight Media has made this game. I don't think I've almost covered it before, but never have. My wife loves slasher films and Jason and all, pretty much any kind of horror film like this. She actually really digs, at least conceptually. Maybe not in its delivery. You have a whole bunch of guys here, and you're just kind of going through and getting attacked by those guys, obviously. You could be the legend, right, or whatever. They have essentially, the big thing here now is they actually have minis, so you can actually get a miniature pack for like $25, which actually sounds pretty good. I guess there's some optimization they've done as well. If you're into this kind of thing, like a Last Girl, I believe I covered as well. If you can do that kind of stuff, this is kind of in the same line here. Looks pretty indie. But honestly, the indie games can sometimes give the most awesome deliveries. So don't count that against them. And actually, I kind of dig the style of the art too and stuff like that. And you're playing like a bloody knife and stuff. It looks like a lot of fun. Just high level. Even if it's something I wouldn't necessarily play all the time. Moving on. SCP Foundation, the Board Game Confidential Crisis. What a terrible name. I don't know what this is. In that, they talk about like, oh, this is like the biggest SCP Foundation universe. I've never heard of this universe. However, it looks kind of interesting. The design of the minis is very static, right? It's very kind of, I'm a soldier, kind of thing. But I dig the idea of having these buildings kind of being on there as well. And the amount of abilities you have on your characters look kind of interesting also. it looks very neat. So I'm kind of interested, at least from a conceptual standpoint, but again, looks kind of indie. Keep that in mind. But of course, there is a link down below. And lastly, Lacuna Coil. As a huge rock fan, I love some hard rock. In fact, Lacuna Coil is on the lighter side for me. They may look tough, but they make pretty much radio rock, and I can get down with a lot of it, actually. They are making a Horns Up Kickstarter board game, March 26th. Again, right around the corner. No miniatures, at least not yet that I'm aware of. Essentially, you're just trying to get to the front of a Lacuna Coil concert. It sounds ridiculous, but again, I'm a fan of the music, and I'm a fan of rock, and so anything that's got some devil horns on there that's called Horns Up, I am willing to show off. So there you guys go. I think the box turns into a stage that you kind of have to get up to, and you have to like navigate through, like a security guard will try and get you and stuff like that. They have a video I saw at one point. I'll link down below to it, to the actual preview page. And it's, oh man, in fact, they might even have it up. Look at this. Here we go. Yeah, let's see it. All right. So yeah, they have a little blurb here, right, where they're showing it off, like very awkwardly. They're so awkward about it. But anyway, yeah, see, you got to navigate and get up there to the concert. It is what it is. It's on Kickstarter. It was an excuse to cover it. I'm down with it. Apparently this guy is too. Oh, it was a Secret Rockers. Like, I don't know if he is or not, but that's great. Okay, anyway, that's it. That's all I had. I ended on a light note there. Guys, that was a ton. I hope you appreciated all that info. Again, let me know about that VAT stuff and anything else you might have that maybe I missed or that you would like me to cover. I do take requests, just not in karaoke. I think I said that last time to somebody, but no, seriously. It's been great talking to you guys. I cannot wait to show you Ragnarok. I can't wait to get Ragnarok. I will unbox. I will show you guys. Of course, my people on Discord and on Patreon will get early leaks as they do that. Not to throw exclusive stuff there, but because I don't really have another outlet that I use often besides that to kind of post like pictures while I'm unboxing and stuff like that. But excited to share all of that with you guys. You guys are gonna love it, I'm sure. I hope so. I'm pretty pumped for it. Anyway, guys, have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you guys again really, really soon. So I'll see you there later.